And then I was lucky in a way because as a kid, as a child, I was raised in a church that used the King James Bible, King James version of the Bible, and that was translated into English about the same time that Shakespeare was writing his plays. So as a child, I was reading all these Bible stories, and I became familiar with the language. And so when it came to doing the plays later, it came pretty easily to me. But I recognize it's not any. And at that time, I thought, well, what could I write? And because I had taught and loved teaching the play Hamlet for quite a number of years, I thought it would be really fun to turn this into a book that is more easily accessible for readers who are unfamiliar with Shakespearean language, which can be very difficult. Uh, it's I don't know if I can make a comparison. I don't know if East Indian languages of 400 years ago are much like East Indian languages today. I'm sure that Urdu and Hindi and perhaps Korean as well have changed significantly over that amount of time. In any case, I wanted to make the story, which is a brilliant story, uh, available to people who were unfamiliar with it and who didn't have the uh, fortitude or the motivation to study Shakespearean English to get through the play. And so I started the project really as an experiment. And I just thought, well, this would be fun. And I don't know if you know the play or not, but Hamlet had a very, very close friend who accompanies him on quite a number of the scenes in the play. And at the end of the play, of course, Hamlet is killed, and his friend Horatio is left behind. And a new king takes over when theoretically Hamlet would have been king, but he's dead now. And this other fellow kind of takes his opportunity and takes the kingdom. And I thought, well, what if the new king wanted to know how all these horrible things happened in the court of
Yep.
Denmark? And so I thought he's going to assign Horatio to write a report about the downfall of the throne of Denmark. And so that's the way I built the book. Part of the book is Horatio's report. Other parts, there are scenes in the book where Horatio is not present, so he would not have known what happened. And so I wrote those in a different point of view. I don't know how familiar you are with the concept of point of view, but when an author is writing in first person point of view, he includes himself and talks about himself. And it's I did this and he did that and I was there. And so that's how I structured the book. And I really went scene by scene through the play. And then I added materials to do with other characters. I tried to make the women a bit more comprehensively dealt with, because in Shakespeare's time, women were not allowed to be part of the theater. And so there were very few women characters, and the ones that were there had pretty small roles. Usually, Ilya is a young woman who was a love interest for Hamlet, and she has a kind of a scene of either suicide or accidental drowning late in the play. And so I built that scene up quite extensively to generate some sympathy for this young woman who was really a victim of all these other ambitious grasping. And it was fun. It was really fun. So I finished the novel and had it printed, and I decided I'd better get some reputable reviewer to look at it. So I sent it off to Kirkus Reviews. They sell themselves as an independent literary review agency, and they don't guarantee a positive review by any chance. And it costs about $400 or $500 to get them to review a book. But I thought the review, when it came back, was quite fair and quite positive, and so I was very pleased with that. For the most part, the ones that I've talked to have been very, very pleased with it. And when I ended up with it being sold as an ebook on Amazon and as a paperback, and several of the other online forums, the Amazon reviews were very positive. I think if you go on Amazon.ca, there are only 6 or 7 reviews, but they're just about all 5-star reviews. Ideal reader, my goodness. I think for that book, the ideal reader is someone who has always been curious about Shakespearean plays, and Hamlet in particular, but has never had the courage to take it on in the original. Mm-hmm. And potentially it could motivate them to become much more interested in Shakespeare in general and in the play in particular. There are many, many films of Hamlet, but still, if the guy's babbling on in Elizabethan English and they can't understand the speeches, it's pretty puzzling. So this is kind of a key to a puzzle, if you like, and I just like to help someone who has that motivation. And it tells it's a pretty good adventure story anyway.